In 1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. Please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. In Jurassic Park, you thought those little baby dinosaurs were cute until they turned into out-of-control carnivores. That's sort of what happens to government when we elect people based on very expensive advertising campaigns and propaganda. I'm David Esrati. I'm a veteran and a small businessman running for Congress. You don't want professional ad people and pollsters to sway your vote. All those hot-button issues like gun control, abortion, borders are all politicized to stop you from voting rationally. And thinking rationally seems to be in short supply these days. Most Americans have been voting against their own best self-interest for a long time because we've allowed money to buy our leaders. 1 million Americans died in the last 2 years because our leaders couldn't lead. It wasn't that hard. Mask, distance, test, and then vaccinate. In an instant, we had billions to spend on healthcare for COVID, when for years we've been told we can't provide healthcare for everyone equally in this country. That's an unintended consequence of the pandemic. If you think about it, our government can pretty much do whatever it wants, or what the people who buy our politicians tell our leaders to do. We also had a ton of money to prop up businesses. And next thing you know, it turns out that a living wage was not only possible, but necessary. As a small businessman who won't sell you out to corporate interests and lobbyists, I can tell you that it's time to fully understand the consequences of companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google and their effect on small business, and to remind you that small business is the #1 creator of jobs in this country. So this next election, don't trust this ad or any other political ad. Do your homework and think before you vote. It's time to put this ad man in Congress because I know that the best advertising is based on the truth, not the size of the budget or payola. Or you can just vote based on who has the money to buy their way into Congress and live with the consequences. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. In 1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message.
Now you're good.
Oh, hi. I guess we have audio now. Hi, I'm David Esrati. Thanks for tuning into the Elect Esrati live stream today. I was just kidding though. I'm not really David Esrati. I don't know if you could tell. I'm Average Joe, and I'm going to be doing the live stream today. And I wanted to talk about Republican radicalization. And the reason I wanted to discuss this today is I think now more than ever we face a critical juncture in our country where I feel like the radical right is a legitimate threat, and I've never felt that in my life. I'm 40 years old, and so far, this is the first time I've actually felt like, oh, I might see the end of democracy if Republicans take over. I might see the end of this country as we know it. I heard a senator, and we're joined by actual David Esrati. He's joining us now. But the reason that this got me thinking about this subject, I found this quote. I was listening to a Republican senator. When I was listening to this senator, he was actually anonymous. He was on Ask Me Anything on Reddit. And he was an anti-Trumper, but he voted with Trump, and he would never publicly not support Trump. And what he said was really alarming. He said that they are worried to go against Trump because they're scared of being murdered. They're scared that if they vote against Trump or go against what he's saying, that their families will be murdered and they might be murdered. Now that's pretty serious, getting murdered. You know what I mean? So this is the quote. This is not the quote from the interview I saw, but this is another quote that sort of confirms that point of view from Republicans and what they're facing right now in this crazy time of Trumpism. So it says here that Representative Pete Meyer from Michigan, he's a Republican from Michigan, says that he personally knows several House Republicans who wanted to vote to certify Joe Biden's 2020 electoral win, but were afraid for their lives if they chose to do so. I had colleagues, he says, when it came time to recognize reality and vote to certify Arizona and Pennsylvania in the Electoral College, they knew in their hearts of hearts that they should have voted to certify. But some had legitimate concerns about the safety of their families. Meyer told Reason Magazine's Matt Welsh they felt that the vote would put their families in danger. That's pretty dangerous.
Oh, it definitely is. And you know how they rewarded Pete Meyer, who voted to impeach Donald Trump? They pay the DCCC, the Democrats, spent $400,000 working against him so that a Trumper could beat him in the primary because they thought it'd be easier to beat the Trumper than it would be to beat Pete Meyer. And that, my friends, is how low the parties have gotten to. Now, you know, Joe was talking, and I know him as Joseph, but I'm going to call him Joe here because he's just average Joe. He was talking about intimidation. Here's something you may not know. When I first ran for mayor of Dayton and then ran for city commission that same year, and Mike Turner was my opponent that time, I had my window shot out at my office. Not one night, but 2 nights. And I'm not talking little windows, I'm talking huge plate glass windows 2 nights in a row. And the second night, they also got my side door. So I was being sent a message. I also was assaulted by a labor leader on election day when I caught him taking 3 endorsed Democratic candidates onto city property to campaign with city employees involved in political activity on city property during work hours. I caught him, and the politicians ran away. He threw his big gulp at my car. He told me, "Get out of the car, I'm going to beat your ass." I started to get out of the car. He slammed my car door on my leg and wouldn't let me exit the car. And that guy's still around in a bigwig in the Democratic Party. His name is Tom Ritchie Sr. I don't have a problem calling him out. I don't have a problem calling him. He's the one at the end of the video who's going like this to Casey at the last meeting, and they were all getting all, you saw the brawl. Anyways, so intimidation, nothing. There is a rumor, and I cannot confirm this, but Mayor Clay Dixon, who I was running to replace, his father was shot at the Avenue Lounge up on Salem in the middle of the night. They never solved that killing. The rumor was he was shot because he voted against putting a landfill on the west side of Dayton. And that's sad. Unsolved crime, the mayor's father, because he was being told what he had to do to make the man happy. And the man at that time was Tom Danis, who was behind that landfill. Don't know. Tom Danis later ended up buying the arcade for $36,000, shutting it down and sitting on it for years. Go figure. We spent a lot of money on it once. We spent a lot of money on it again. But I've just digressed from the problem at hand, which is...
We're talking about radicalization of the Republicans today.
Yeah. And they are radical.
They have gotten even more so. And I was seeing senators and things like that afraid to go against the spiritual leader of that party, Donald J. Trump. Really got me thinking, this is intimidations always happen. Like, you receive some.
Right.
But it being so brazen, it being so out in the open now, this is kind of new. And I've got a lot of family members and friends and things that people I once respected and looked up to who fell for the trap of Trump. And why? Trump spent his entire career doing nothing but screwing over middle-class businesses. His scheme was he would hire a small business to install all the windows in the Trump Tower, knowing ahead of time he wasn't going to pay them what he agreed on. This would put them out of business. He knew that they couldn't sue him. They didn't have the finances to sue him. That's why he would specifically target smaller businesses. He knew they couldn't fight the lawsuits. They couldn't fight to get their money. He specifically targeted these people, and he ruined a lot of their lives. He bankrupted a lot of small businesses. So why would the working class fall for the trap here?
When they finally released that Access Hollywood tape,
Yeah.
you would think at this point the evangelicals would have abandoned him. I mean, he said, I'm going to grab him right by the... No, it didn't seem to matter. He said he could shoot somebody out in the middle of Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't go to jail. And it's turning out pretty much true. He's taken top secret documents home with him and had them strewn around willy-nilly. Anybody at Wright-Patterson does that, they'd be on you like white on rice.
Yeah, and so it is perplexing why. And I was thinking about this question a lot. Why? Based on everything we just said, this is out in the open. They know it. The Trump supporters know about Trump University. And that was a scam that he used to take money from poor people with the guise of a college, and it was just a scam. We know that he's taken advantage of the middle class his entire life.
Jen says no sound.
That was earlier.
Oh, we're good?
That's a problem solved.
All right.
So anyway, how did this happen? And I was thinking about my own experience. I come from an evangelical background. I come from a community of Republicans and conservatives. And I do remember, and this is what I can pinpoint this to, and you can give me your input and see what you think about this. But and I hate to bring up 9/11 because it's so, it's brought up all the time and it's such a tragic event. However, when 9/11 happened, I remember looking for news. The day of, we didn't even know who did it.
Right.
And there was a thirst for 24-hour news. We found that in Fox News. And they're waiting for us. And we were angry as a country. Who did this to us? Why did they do this? And watching the cries for help on TV, it made you angry.
Oh, yeah.
And they're waiting for us on Fox. They call him Papa Bear, Bill O'Reilly. And Bill O'Reilly was shouting at Democrats. He was shouting down the enemy. He didn't mind insulting them. He didn't mind bullying them. And at the moment, that was cathartic. Oh, we're angry, and look at this guy. He's also angry. He represents how we're feeling. What we didn't know was this is a bit of a brainwashing thing. They were using anger to hook us in. And they continue to use anger to keep us hooked.
Yeah. And a friend of mine, Sally Hogshead, wrote a book called Fascination. And there are 7 triggers, so to speak. There's 7 different things that work. Fear and anger, they're some of the strongest emotions you can bring out. And they're the most powerful. And, it's sad, but somehow we've always become an us versus them society. And the us, we've forgotten what us stands for. Remember, this is the United States. You hear people talking about secession now. You hear people about civil war. That wasn't a topic of discussion before Donald Trump. That wasn't a topic of discussion before all this decisiveness was brought out and the white supremacists were good people on both sides. Mm-hmm. There is never a time when a Nazi is okay. Never. Just doesn't happen. But our country has changed. It's not changed for good. I am now hearing from people I respect with college degrees who run companies and things, and they start talking about fake news and the liberal media and bias in reporting. I'm going to tell you something. Real news doesn't talk about those things. They talk about facts. They try to get to the story and tell it. They're not interested in who's right, who's wrong. But somehow, Fox News has managed to say, we're the only ones that are right. We're, what was it, Fair and Balanced was they came out with?
Fair and Balanced was initially their
thing,
tagline,
and
yeah.
they were never that.
So Donald Trump, in 2015, he lost the Iowa caucus to Ted Cruz. Guess what? It was rigged, he said.
Oh, yeah.
That was rigged. He lost the popular
rigged.
vote to Hillary in 2016.
Oh, that was rigged.
That was rigged.
Yeah.
And then he loses the popular and the electoral vote to Joe Biden in 2020. Oh, guess what?
That was rigged.
So he's clearly just saying anytime he loses that it was rigged. So this is a blatant, absurd lie that he's... So why are so many people buying into this lie? We've got a clip of a sermon. This gives you a little insight into what's going on the far right, which is now mainstream.
I have people email and say, you are a false prophet because you prophesied that Donald Trump would be voted back in. I did, and he was. Now, if you really want to deal with this, how about the fact that you stole it from him and you put somebody else in there illegally? But in the eyes of God in the court of heaven today, the President of the United States is Donald J. Trump.
So anyway, there you saw a pastor saying that President Trump is currently still the president.
Yeah.
That God recognizes Trump as the president, and the enemy stood in front of God's will.
Well, it says in God we trust on all our money, so
Yeah.
God must be still weighing in.
The important part of that clip is I know a lot of people personally who are watching those types of sermons, and they believe them, and they're basically calling the opposition the enemy. They're calling them evil. The Democrats are evil, so they have a hatred now. And so what happened was Fox News through Bill O'Reilly and years and years and years of just infusing anger into their Republican and conservative base, left them frothing at the mouth. And here comes Donald Trump in 2015 on stage. And what's he doing? Frothing at the mouth, angry. And they identified a candidate who they recognized as one of them. He's angry like we are.
It's good for ratings.
It is good for ratings, but it has real consequences now.
I bet we could get a whole bunch more people watching this right now if we started screaming at each other and swinging.
Yeah, I'll take an opposition side if you want to test this theory.
No.
But all that to say is, the anger has not gotten better. Churches didn't used to preach on politics. They didn't used to preach that.
It's actually against their charter, and they can lose their nonprofit status for doing that. By the way, Mark pipes in. He says he's sure glad that CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS are all fair and balanced. The problem with television journalism is it's very short form, very little bits and pieces, and it's hard for them to necessarily show in detail and tell the facts. I tend to prefer print because it can be more in depth. It can have links. There can be backstory. You can have the actual interviews that you can watch and then learn something from. But we become goldfish. 9-second attention span. We have, if it's not totally engrossing, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. We have sort of distanced ourselves from good old style journalism. At their best, CBS was doing 60 Minutes, and even that was 3 20-minute segments in an hour.
Yeah.
And that's not long enough to really tell the story.
Yeah, I guess what I want to summarize, though, in my closing statements here. This is a critical juncture. The right has been conditioned to anger and to hate the opposition. Donald Trump is a reflection of that hatred. Donald Trump is a reflection of 20 years of being radicalized through the right-stream media, through right-wing media.
And this is a guy who was a Democrat.
He's still probably.
Up until, I don't know when it was, but at one point he said, if I was going to run, I was going to run as a Republican, I think.
That was turns out that quote was not actually real. That was
it doesn't matter.
But it's still the spirit. Hillary Clinton was at his wedding. You know,
yeah.
They were friends.
So let me ask you something. So people don't, they might have seen our 2 Average Joe commercials that we've had so far. Uh-huh. And if you haven't seen them, they're on our shorts list on YouTube, or they're also on Facebook on there. But, you know, you're poking fun at Mike Turner.
Yeah.
And tell me why you're poking fun at Mike Turner.
So Mike Turner, I think, is the worst type of politician. In this, he is not honest, and I don't need to tell you why honesty is important. Honesty, if you're not an honest person, you can't trust anything that you're saying. And Mike Turner, I don't believe is trustworthy, because I'm certain that Mike Turner despises Donald Trump. But Mike Turner will not say that anymore. He used to say it openly.
Yes, he did.
Until the base he's desperate for that base of support.
Right.
So he's standing against his own values.
Right. He flip-flops. He's a waffler.
Yeah, but
of the worst type.
To sacrifice your own values for votes. That's a really disgusting thing to me.
Okay. So that's why he's making those videos, but he also he's known me for a little while. And yes, I give him a paycheck every week, and usually he's behind the scenes here running the cameras. But you've known me for a while, mm-hmm. and we've talked ad infinitum about politics over the course of these couple of years. And can you tell the viewers something about me that they might not know or might not understand?
Whether you agree with David Esrati or not, David Esrati is an honest man. There is never, I don't think he's capable of lying. That may not be part of his build to be able to tell lies and things like that. So you can trust what he's saying to you. And sometimes he's not always saying what you want to hear. But that's what kind of separates him, I think, from a Mike Turner. Mike Turner is going to bend over backwards to try and placate you, even if it goes against his own values. And in this time right now, in our history as Americans, America, we are facing an existential threat from Trumpism. We cannot afford to have politicians bend over for this and go against their values. This is a time for a Mike Turner to stand up. He does not like Trump. This is a term for, but he's doing the opposite. He's going against this. He's enabling Trump.
He was unable to vote to impeach him twice, even though his behavior was far from.
Oh, look, we have I-70 with
far
Mike
from
is a rhino. So
yeah.
I want to address this rhino thing real quick.
Oh yeah.
Anybody who goes against Donald Trump now is a rhino. It's the most absurd claim. Hey, guess what? Trump's not a Republican. So there you go.
You can ignore I-70. He went to January 6th, and
I'd
he's
like to
stormed the Capitol.
challenge I-70 to a debate on this live stream, but I don't know if he's too insane to bring him to the building. But he did. I think he was at.
He went to the
Capitol.
He went to the Capitol.
I don't know how mentally sound he is. However, I would debate you if you take a competency test or something. And you're not going to shoot us all. I will debate you I-70 on this live stream. Anyway.
But let's.
I've gone off the rails.
But thank you very much for talking about my honesty and my integrity. But is there anything else? I mean, you've seen me on a daily basis with people and dogs and all the rest of it. You've watched me under stress. You've seen, you've got an idea of who I am.
Yeah, I mean, when I leave the office, you're here. When I come to the office, you're here. So you're going to work until you're not able to even work anymore. So, he's going to work tirelessly if you do vote for him. He's going to make sure he gets the job done, I think.
I take this very seriously. I take it seriously from our clients, and I take it seriously as your congressman, that I have a duty to get the job done. And part of that job is to be able to communicate back with you, which is why we're pioneering this interactive live stream, hoping that we can change the way Congress does things, that at the end of the day, they have to come back and tell everybody, hey, this is what happened in Congress today. And, I had this stack of bills like this, and I read through as much as I could. My staff did some analysis, and here's how I voted. Because I can't read everything. I mean, some of these bills are 6,000 pages long. I'm a speed reader, but you have 2 days. Nah, that doesn't work like that. So I'm going to do my best to listen, to do what's best for this community, and do what's best for our entire country. And that's something that I don't think comes out enough. There are some things you do, like join the military, like I did, because you believe in this country. I didn't go to law school, though everyone says I should at this point. I'm not going to law school as a 60-year-old to come out at 63 with never having any experience and try to represent people. But the reality is, I have a compassion for building communities like I have with the people in South Park to bring us together and bring us up. And that's what we need in this country. And I can talk to Republicans. I have Republican friends, and I'm not ashamed to defend them. I had somebody tell me, oh, we can't back you because you're friends with Gary Lightsell and John McManus. Well, Gary Lightsell was an independent. He ran as a Republican later because it was the only way to stop having to do an incredible number of signatures gathered. And John McManus was a Democrat who wasn't supported by the Democratic Party, and he's still a good man. It doesn't matter if he's got the Republican label or the Democrat label. The guy he beat was given 2 different positions, and he lost both of them after being given them and was given the edge of being an incumbent. Maybe the Democrats should stop running on the Friends and Family program. That's their biggest problem. But
now I do want to interject here real
yeah.
quick. I challenged I-70 to a debate. Now I don't think that's actually a good idea in retrospect because he might be unhinged. However, David Esrati has tried to debate Mike Turner, and Mike Turner will not do it. And I think that goes to show you the character of Mike Turner. He just wants you to vote for him. He doesn't want to have to work for it. He doesn't want to have to debate and share his platform. He thinks he's above all of that. And I think that's really also a disgusting gesture by a politician. You should debate your opponent.
He's got $1 million in the bank and more on the way. What's he worried about? We got the best politicians money could buy, and Mikey's sitting on Fort Knox.
Come on, Mike.
Let's go. Let's debate.
Let's debate. Wherever you want.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. I liberate the oppressed.
There you go.
Anyway, do we have any questions from anybody or anything they want to hear from me or from Average Joe as we wrap this up?
Mark's going after New York Times now.
Yeah, well, the New York Times is accurate more often than the rest. I'd like to thank all of you who stuck through this. Hopefully our Facebook feed worked better this time. We tried to changing some things up. We should be able to take comments on Facebook too now. We're working on constantly improving this whole process. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. The reason we were late today was I had a Zoom call with the Dayton Regional Manufacturing Association to talk to some of their leadership, where I made absolutely 0 sense because I just, stream of consciousness, talked through a whole bunch of things, and I got to do better at that. But I think they got overall the idea that I believe in workforce development. I believe in supply chain management and more efficient ways of getting things across this big country. And I also believe that our tax code is messed up, but not near as messed up as our healthcare system. And our healthcare system is a major drag on every business in America. And we need to fix that so we can become the greatest nation on earth when it comes to industrial output and the wealth of our entire country, not just at the top. We need people at the bottom doing well because a rising tide
lifts all ships.
Lifts all ships. See,
I-70 still coming back.
Yeah,
hey, he's mad. I called him unhinged. Hey,
yeah.
I-70, you're Orange Messiah. All he does is insult people. So I don't think you can really be bothered by that. All right.
Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you tonight at 7 o'clock. I'll be at the Oakwood Library, the Wright Library, the South Dayton Democratic Club will be having a candidates night. I'll be there. I'll be filming. I'll have it up tomorrow. So there's a chance to hear me and other candidates. I've been invited on October 2nd out to Greene County for a candidates event. I'll have that up on the website soon. And it's a meet and greet and candidates talking for 5 minutes. So that'll be up there. We do have new posters and t-shirts coming up on the website. So make your donations now so you can win a poster or even buy a poster through your donation. Or get a t-shirt with a donation over 100, or soon buy a shirt for $35. Anyways, I'm David Esrati. I'm running for Congress, Ohio 10 versus Mike Turner. Ohio 10 is all of Montgomery County, all of Greene County, parts of Clark. We'll see you here tomorrow at 4. Thank you so much from me and from
Average Joe.
Average Joe. We'll see you. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this. Hey, Derek.